Hi there. So I have emailed each of the learning teams some individualized feedback on those discussions that you sent me. But there are some general comments that I would like to talk about that kind of apply to everyone. The first one is this. What I wanted to see in this discussion is somebody ask a question that somebody then answers, and then the person who asked the question makes a comment about what they answered. First of all, I wanted to give a special shout out to that group for making the question, turn, answer so easy to follow with those labels. That was really nice to watch. One of the reasons I wanted to see this is with this discussion, I wanted your group to try to answer the question. The question was, do the online video that you're using for learning at NYU Shanghai this semester match the characteristics of online video that we have learned about in the class? You're using all kinds of different video platforms, YouTube in this class, Flipgrid, Zoom, probably other things that I don't even know about. VoiceThread, how well does that match up with what we've learned about online video in the class? You'll notice this question is a yes or no question. And my goal was that for each group would talk about this and come up with an answer. Yes, the video we use for online learning matches the characteristics, or no, it's different. It's another thing. I realize that you can kind of have some caveats. Yeah, it's different, but there are some similarities, or while there's a few small differences, overall it matches the characteristics of online video. I wanted you to go to answer in one of those ways. Yes, it is, or no. It's a yes, no question. And I was hoping that the questions you asked in discussion and the comments you made about what people answered would point your group in one of those directions. So I was really looking for each of the groups to kind of answer that question. Yes, they are the same, or no, they aren't. I don't really care what your answer is. I care how you come up with that. I care how you support it. But the bigger thing that I really want to see you doing is turning your discussion into a narrative that leads to one of the answers, right? I want you guys, through what you know and what you've learned and what you've seen in the videos and what you talk about in your discussion, to, as a group, say, yeah, they're the same, or no, they're really quite different. And then you can tell how and why. That's the goal of this assignment, and that's one of the reasons we use discussion to try to get somewhere. We don't always do that, but what I see that I don't really like is a lot of times your discussions end with, yeah, there's some things that are the same and some that are different. Or, yeah, there's good things and there's bad things. Yeah, that's true about everything. I want you guys to, as a group, try to kind of pick a side. I want you to use discussion to come up with meaning in the form of answers, or at least a direction where you think the truth lies. I know that's hard. I hope this strategy of asking a question, seeing what people say, and then commenting on that helps you do that as a group. I hope also that my feedback helps you understand that. Another strategy to keep you focused on the prompt that you've been given and your group's answer via discussion is the idea of a working thesis. A working thesis is simply your answer to the question at that time. Say, for example, you start a discussion on the same prompt that you have, and somebody in your group starts the discussion by saying, I don't really think that the online video we use for this class is the same because the purpose isn't the same as most online video. Most online video is to entertain people or to even inform people, but we're using online video to learn, and that makes it differently. This person has established a working thesis that the video is different, and they've given some reason why they think that is true, and now other people can jump in and they can either start supporting this working thesis by either building on the argument they made, where the purpose makes things different, or maybe they could bring up something different. The aesthetic choices are different. The modes in which people communicate are different. These are all things I heard your groups talking about. And they start going in that direction. Or maybe someone's like, no, I don't think that. I think they're really the same. Yes, they may have a different purpose, but the videos often look the same as other videos I watch, and they could explain that in more depth. Or they could talk about how terms that we've learned about participatory culture, right? People working to do something, right? To participate from the community that they're in. They could bring up other things that go in a different direction, and they could try to work to change the working thesis. And then they could, see what the group thought about that. The point is that as you're talking, you're conscious of what you, the whole group, think about the topic at any given point, and new points or new questions are posed in relation to whatever the group is thinking right there, whatever the working thesis is. In this case, it was a pretty simple, right? They do match or they don't match, and here's how and here's why. The prompt for the final seminar discussion will be a bit more open-ended. That is, it won't be simply yes or no. It'll be something more open that the group will have to try to decide what it is. But I think the important point here is to be conscious of what you think the group is thinking and answering the question right then, so the new comments respond in light of that. Don't just offer up new ideas. Offer up new ideas that either advance the working thesis or try to change the working thesis or try to discredit the working thesis. That is, keep in mind what your group is thinking right then and use that as you add questions or answers or new comments or directions. One way you can do this is to use language that explicitly state your ideas on what the working thesis is. These are phrases like, it seems like you're saying that online video does match what the things that we've learned about. Or, while I see that you've made a lot of points about a lot of the ways that they are the same, I think there's some very important ways that they're different that we should explore. And then after talking about them and exploring them, you can check back in the group to see how that has changed the working thesis with comments like, doesn't that show that they're actually fundamentally different? Or do these differences ultimately make them different, or are they just small things that aren't as important as the way that they are similar? And then you're phrasing ideas and you're forming a narrative about what your group thinks using explicit language. I hope all of this helps, and I look forward to seeing your discussions in the final seminar event. I'll send out instructions for those on Tuesday of next week. Have a good weekend.